Okay, where do we start? Okay, we either start with the common on the main roof or the common on the L roof, right? Remember, this is the main roof. This is the L roof. Which one did you guys use, main or L? Main. So main roof common we're looking at here. Let me make that look like an M. So what goes in with this? 30-foot span, 9/12 slope. Okay, then what? Gotta find H, which is that. And then, now we gotta know that this is 15, and then we set proportion, 9/12 equals H/15. 9 times 15 divided by 12 is 11 1/4. So 11.25 feet. Now again, if H were a dimension we wanted, that's just 11 foot 3 inches, but it's not a final dimension. We're using it to find J up here, the length of our common on the main roof side. How do we find that? So what goes in here? Perfect. 11 1/4 squared plus 15 squared. Which gives us what? 18.75 feet. Working out pretty convenient so far. So we've got this dimension right here, 18.75 feet. Now what? Now we complete this triangle by going up like this, right? Extending that up. And we have this triangle here that we're going to look at. That one, right? So I'm going to pull it out here. What do we know about this triangle? This is 18.75 here on the left side. You are correct. What's this dimension? Half the span. It is 15 feet. Yes. It's not half of the L roof span because it goes past the peak. It's half of the 30 because the slopes are the same. How do we know the slopes are the same? Is the word conventional. Yes. If the slopes weren't the same, then we'd have to do some work on that. So, now what? You know the next triangle right here. Right? So we'll pull that out. What dimension do we know? The 13 on top, if we're assuming a 2-foot spacing, right? So then this is our X. How do we find X? So there we go. Cross multiply and divide in here. So 13 times 18.75 divided by 15. 16.25. Perfect. So that means our decrease 18.75 minus 16.25 is 2.5 feet. 2.5 feet, 2 foot 6 inches. What do you think? Okay, well then we're going to have you guys try another one in your notes. also from yesterday. Let's assume that this over here is a 10. Oh no, let's be reasonable. Let's assume that this here is a 612 slope. Across here is 36 feet. There's a 6-foot setback. Is this conventional? No, because if it was conventional, what would this setback have to be? 18. It would have to be half the span. Great. Since it is not half the span, it cannot be conventional. So find both jack rafter decreases. So you've got main roof side and hip roof side. So main roof. Common. Span is 36. 612 slope. There's H. This is 18 feet. H is 9 feet. Yes? So square root of 18 squared plus 9 squared gives us what for J? 20.125 feet, right? Now that we already have the setback, I gave you the setback, so this next part's easier. So I can take this triangle here. We'll pull it out. What we know about it, this is 20.125, and this is 6. And our next triangle that would be here this is 4 and this is x, right? So 4 over 6 equals x over 20.125. Is 13.417. So the decrease on the main roof side is 20.125 minus 13.417. .708 feet is the decrease. Anybody get that?
I could have. I didn't subtract those. I went on to find that.
So that is our decrease. The reason being is this setback, this is actually an 18 and 12 slope out here on the hip end. So it's extremely steep out there. The steeper the hip is, the greater the decrease has to be on the main roof because the faster it decreases. I mean, look at this. It goes from 20 feet, 20.125 feet. There's one at 4, there's one at 2, and then we're down to 0. So, I mean, it has to decrease very quickly. There's only going to be 2 jacks there. So now let's look on the hip roof side. First thing we got to do there is we got to find not the common, but the longest jack. with the information we've already found, this is relatively easy to do. We know that the height is 9 feet. We know that the setback is 6 feet. We're looking at this here, we're looking at it from the side. So this surface right here is this jack, right? So this should be the square root of 9 squared plus 6 squared. $10.817. So we have this triangle here that we are going to pull out again. This is 10.817 feet. This over here is 18 feet. Where'd the 18 feet come from? Off the span. Very good. The next jack's going to be right here. So we pull out that triangle. What do we know about that triangle? 16 feet and x. So 16 over 18 equals x over 10.817. This is going to be a incredibly small decrease, just so you know. So 10.817 times 16 divided by 18. 9.615. So this is 9.615. So that decrease there, 10.817 minus 9.615, 1.202. 6.708 on one side, 1.202 on the other side. What do you think?
Second part isn't bad.
No, the first part isn't bad either. Once you guys gotta see it. When I give you the setback, and if I gave you both slopes, it's a lot more difficult. Speaking of, I'm sensing another example coming on. Where this is 42 feet. This here is a 512 slope. This here is a 1012 slope. Find both decreases. I'll give you a couple minutes. So we're going to start on the main roof. Working on the common. Here's H on a 21-foot run. 5 over 12 equals H over 21. So H is, what's that? 8.75. Very good. So square root of 21 squared plus 8.75 squared gives us that J is 22.75. Cool. So this right here, 22.75 feet. That's not so bad. But before we can do anything more, we need to know the setback. Right? How do we find the setback? Well, we look at this longest jack here. So we make the triangle with that longest jack. So this is the longest jack. What do we know about that triangle? We know it's 10-12 slope. We know the height's 8.75. Same as the height in the common, right? So I'm going to call this here B for back, setback. S looks too much like a 5, so we're going to call it B. How do I find that? Well, 10 over 12 equals 8.75 over that run of B. The setback is the run. Cross multiply and divide, we get 10.5. Does that work? Now, how many of you actually got the setback at 10.5? Do you want me to give you a few minutes to go from there? I will pause and let you guys go from there for a minute. So, we are going to take a look then at this triangle right here. I'll pull that one out. This, of course, is our common rafter of 22.75. This is that setback of 10.5. So we'll do our next triangle, which will be 8.5 feet here. And our proportion will be 8.5 over 10.5 equals X over 22.75. This is going to be a relatively big, not near as extreme as the last one, but a relatively big decrease. So 22.75 times 8.5 divided by 10.5. 18.417. So we've got 22.75. We're going to put a 0 on the end of that. Minus 18.417. $4.333. So 4 feet 4 inches basically. Do you guys have, anybody have the decrease on the other? Does anybody have the 4.333? Cool. Does anybody have the decrease on the other side done? Do you have the decrease on the jack side or the hip side? You think so? Well, let's do it. To start that one out, we're going to go back to this triangle right here. Remember, this is our longest jack. We found B to be 10.5. So we can find that longest jack as the square root of 10.5 squared plus 8.75 squared. Which gives us that that longest jack is, what is it? 13.8. So 13.667. So then we have this triangle right here that we're going to pull out. This is the 13.67 here. 0.667. This is 21. Where did the 21 come from? Half the span. Very good. This is 19 and this is X. So we have 19 over 21 is X over 13.667. So 13.667. Oops, I don't know why that didn't clear out better. So 13.6667 times 19 divided by 21. 12.365. So now we subtract 13.667 minus 12.365 gives us a difference of 1.302 feet. What do you think? More fun than you should be allowed to have? So we're going to do an L here. The main roof side has a 40-foot span, and the main roof side has a 612 slope. The L roof side has a 28-foot span, and its ridge matches the main roof ridge. So we're going to find both decreases. So we're going to look at the main roof first. And we're going to find the main roof common, which is going to be this one right here. .612 slope and a 40-foot span. Looking to find H as a run of 20 feet, which would make H 6 over 12 equals H over 20. H is going to be 10 feet. Square root of 10 squared plus 20 squared. 22.361 feet. Yep, square root of 500. So this here is 22.361 feet. We good so far? What's that length? Right there. Be very careful. That one is actually half of the L because the ridges meet. So that does have to be in the middle of the 28-foot span. That ridge goes right on up there. So let's pull this triangle out and look at it. We got 14, 22.361. Our next triangle is going to be 12 and X. 12 over 14 equals X over 22.361. So 22.361 times 12 divided by 14. 19.166. So we have a decrease. 22.361. 19.166. $3.195. Good deal. That wasn't so painful, was it? Good. Now let's look at the L roof side. L roof side, we got a span of 28 feet. Do we know the slope? No, we do not. Do we care? No. We know that the height is 10 feet. How do we know the height is 10 feet? Because we already had it over here, the main roof. So we are looking only at the 14-foot run. So we have the square root of 10 squared plus 14 squared. 17.205 feet. Yes? No? Good deal. So this right here is 17.205 feet. So we are now looking at this triangle right here. We're going to pull out. This is 17.205 down here. Does anybody know what this is? You got it, 20 feet, half the span of the main rough. So then our next one is 18, and this is X. (18 over 20 equals X over 17.205. So 17.205 times 18 divided by 20. 15.484. So there's 17.205 minus 15.484. $1.721. What do you think? Getting easier? If you do enough of them, it's not so bad, right? It's just a matter of seeing all those triangles. You're seeing triangles in like 4 different directions here that you got to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flip the triangles around and around.
Oh, sure.
Then you draw them and you're like, no, is this for an angle or not?
That's where the little model up here is cool. If when you're doing a quiz or something, if you want to have that model sitting in front of you, just let me know. You can have it. I might even be able to find post-it notes. You can look, put little post-it notes on there for what each length is. So now, on top of what we did yesterday, in our packet, we want to look at page 300. Number 1 down there. This is an unconventional hip. So you're going to do A through D. For each of those, you are to find the hip rafter. In other words, the corner rafter. Find its length. You have the setback. You want to find the jack rafter decrease. Both sides. Remember, there's going to be a hip side and a main roof side. Find them both. And then number 5. For number 5 on down there, I want you to find there's a valley and a hip. I want you to find for both the valley and the hip, I want you to find the jack rafter decrease on each side. So let's find all of the jack rafter decreases. So only 2 problems to do.
Only 2.
So I'll let you guys have our last 20 minutes here to get started on those, or 15 minutes to get started on those. We'll see how you do. Next week on Tuesday, we move on to stairwells. Next week on Thursday, there will be a quiz on hips, valleys, and stairs. This is where you cheer.